Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Got an exciting review for you today. BenQ, well-known company, they reached out to me and said, hey, we have developed a projector specifically for golf simulators. Would you like to check it out? Yes, BenQ, send it over. That's what we're reviewing today. It's the AH700ST 1080p projector. It's a laser light source projector, and they have thought of everything that golf simulator users might want in a projector and have just filled it up with this stuff. I'm gonna run through it all, and probably by the end of this review, I'm gonna sound like a broken record just talking about how it is specifically for golf simulators. But let's just start off with the basics on where this thing should be mounted. It is a short throw ratio, of course. It's 0.69 to 0.83, which is gonna be in that right range for most simulator users. It also has a 1.2x zoom. Those ratios with that zoom is gonna give you some flexibility. Now, it's going to depend on your screen size and the space that you have and all of that, but ideally, most people want it mounted just behind the golfer, okay? Like maybe a couple feet behind the golfer. Most people are gonna hit their tee to screen is gonna be somewhere from 8 to 10, 11 feet. I'm on the long end of that. I've got just over 11 feet tee to screen, but this is gonna fit right in that perfect range for most people, but it's gonna depend on your screen size. They also realize that a lot of people have golf simulators in their garage, like me, and people are concerned about dust and the elements and all of that. They've thought of that. This actually has some kind of dust certification. They've got the right seals on there and everything that you're not gonna have to worry about that. In particular, I never had a problem with my old projector, but that is something that I do get asked about, especially the extreme temperatures that some of us have, whether that being cold or heat. It does have horizontal and vertical keystone. If you're not familiar with what that does, specifically horizontal keystone, if you want to mount it a little bit off center from your screen, it's gonna skew the image, and that keystone will allow you to straighten it out. But we're gonna talk about how easy this thing is to install in just a minute. If you're trying to figure out where exactly it should go, you're gonna wanna start off by using the BenQ Golf Simulator Planner. Literally, you just put in your screen size and some dimensions of your room, and it's going to calculate it all out given the throw ratios for the projector that you select and kind of give you every dimension that it can. It's pretty amazing. That's another feature that's not necessarily a projector feature, but something that BenQ has done specifically for golf simulators, because honestly, putting everything together, the projector can be the hardest part. I know it was the biggest pain for me setting up my simulator for the very first time. Caused a lot of nerves because you don't know, like, okay, is this projector gonna work with where I need it to go, with the screen that I've got, and all of these things. It can be a little bit nerve-wracking. So start with the Golf Simulator Planner. When you put all that stuff in, it's gonna give you pretty much a good idea of where it's gonna be mounted, just to confirm that that's gonna work in your space. If that looks like it's gonna work, then you can go ahead and make the purchase and get your hands on it, and just kind of use that distance from the screen as a rough starting point. All right, so now you've got your projector in hand, you're gonna wanna set it up. Now this is the coolest feature of this new projector. It is auto fit. This takes an installation process that for me, honestly took a bunch of tinkering over several days to get right the very first time into literally a few seconds. The way the auto fit feature works, you're gonna want to take the projector, move it back until there's at least 3 inches or more of the image over onto the border of your screen. Then with a click of a button on the remote control, you just hit the auto fit button and it walks through the process where it fits itself from there. What it does is it projects an image with a pattern out onto the screen, and then it's got a camera in the projector that's actually reading that image and then auto fitting itself. Whenever it's done, it's gonna ask you if you want to do some manual corner adjustment, which is super easy, and I would do it if you want to. You can just go to the 4 corners and move it up or down, left or right, just to get it perfect. And when you're done, back out of it, and you're done. I mean, it's perfect. The whole thing probably takes less than 30 seconds. Whenever I started with my very first projector, I went through the entire thing trying to get it right, trying to get the mount into a stud and all of that. And then I realized, oh man, I centered the mount, not the lens of the projector. And it was really kind of skewing it. And my original projector didn't have any keystone configuration, obviously didn't have this auto fit feature. And so I was up on a ladder constantly trying to turn it this way, turn it that way, angle it right, just to try and get the least amount of skew in the image out. And I kind of did that for a couple days. And then eventually I realized I mounted it based on the center of the mount, but the lens is not in the center of the projector. So I had to take the mount out, shift it over maybe 6 inches or something like that, and then I was finally able to angle it and just get the picture that I wanted. I can't tell you how much easier this auto fit feature is. It's truly amazing. It does need the image to be kind of on the outside border of whatever's on your screen, and that border does need to be high contrast. In most cases, it's gonna be black, right? You've got a white screen and you've got a black enclosure. If you don't have an enclosure, you probably have some kind of padding that's black or something out there, but it does need that contrast from the screen to whatever's around it. If you don't have any kind of border on it, you probably could take some really thick tape and just kind of tape around the border of it, something like that, but it does need a contrast to be able to read the edges of the screen. Now, the AH700ST is set up for 4 different standard resolutions, 16:9, 16:10, 4:3, and 1:1. Those are pretty much gonna cover all your bases for all the golf simulator screens. But if you have some kind of other resolution that's not in one of those standards, you are gonna have to go the old way and create a custom resolution on your computer using your graphic card. And you can pretty much just go into NVIDIA settings, assuming that's your graphic card, and create a custom resolution. That is kind of the old way of doing it. That's the way I did it on my first projector. And you basically have to guess. So you want to get the 1080 part right, that's going to be the height. You want to get that right with where you mount the projector. And then the width, instead of going from 1920, you're going to bring it in less than 1920. And it's kind of a trial and error. So you got to pick a number and then adjust it, see if it's right. Okay, it needs more, pick another number, and back and forth. As long as your screen is one of these 4 standard resolutions, the auto fit feature is gonna work and you don't have to do that at all. Okay, cool. Now that helped with the initial setup, but what about going forward? You're gonna have this simulator for years. You're not gonna have to use that auto fit feature again, probably. But, you know, are your kids playing in this area? Are they doing somersaults and potentially gonna bump into the enclosure and move it a little bit? Or like in this case, I've got the SIG10 enclosure here, which has kind of a pillow padding all around the screen that sometimes I do wanna go over and adjust and try to make the edges a little bit straighter. Those edges can spill onto the screen. So if you make any adjustments like that, you may have a corner or an edge that now the image isn't covering or something like that. You can literally just hit this button down here that's a quick corner adjustment button and bring up that corner fit. So I don't even have to do the auto fit thing all over again. I can just bring that up and adjust my corners and edges straight from the remote. That is one of the kind of big things also with this projector is they put almost everything on this remote. You've got that quick corner adjustment down here on the bottom. Obviously you've got the auto fit button that we just ran through. You've got a quick focus button. So you can just click that and bring up a focus adjustment on the screen. You've got a zoom button so that you can take advantage of that zoom adjustment if you need to make any adjustment right from here. You've got all of those things that you might want to access directly on the remote. For example, my old projector, which is the BenQ TH671ST. It's more of an entry-level projector from BenQ, but it's got the focus and zoom on the projector itself, not on the remote. So what that means is if I ever needed to make an adjustment, I had to pull the ladder out and reach up there and turn these dials, which, you know, was a pain. And I did have to do that every once in a while if I ever bumped into the enclosure or changed anything about it. I did want to fine tune that stuff and I was pulling ladders around. So now lastly, on the installation side, this projector actually is ready to accept a wireless dongle that will allow you to stream or cast from a mobile device. So for those of you that probably aren't using a PC for your golf simulation, you're using a tablet or your phone and you want to use a projector to cast, whatever that app is, you can purchase separately from BenQ a wireless dongle. You just plug it into the back of the projector and then you can, cast whatever's on your phone or tablet to it, no cords. I think BenQ is selling that for like $49.99, but that is an option for you if that's something that is important to you. Now they are saying that works with iOS, Android, and even Mac and Windows if you're trying to cast from a computer. Could be a great option. I know some of you have that kind of a need. Now let's talk about the actual image. They made this projector 4,000 lumens. Lumens are kind of the measure of brightness, and high lumens are very important to golf simulator projectors, mainly because a lot of us have the lights on while we're using our golf simulator. So like right now, I've got 2 sets of double LED equivalent fluorescent lights here in my garage. Plus I've got some extra lighting for the camera behind me that's pointed right at the screen. Don't use this image on YouTube on the camera as a perfect example of what it looks like in person, because it's not going to be. But point is, higher lumens is going to make it easier to see whenever you have more ambient lighting in the room. You can of course turn the lights off, but then you're going to want some kind of spotlight or some kind of lighting so that you can actually see what you're doing, swinging the golf club, hitting the ball. So it is kind of tough. We want to play with the lights off, but it doesn't make sense all the time. And if you're using swing cameras, those need as much lighting as possible to be able to see you in super slow motion. Most of the time, actually, I am playing just with the lights on. So those higher lumens give me a better picture. And with the lower lumens, for example, the old projector that I had, the AH700ST, was a 3,000 lumen projector. When the lights are on, that one is gonna look like the colors are a little bit more washed out. It was not bad. I had really no complaints about it, but the extra 1,000 lumens in this projector is gonna help a lot of us with golf simulators. So there's a reason they went with higher lumens. Now the other feature is that this is a laser projector as opposed to a bulb projector. With a bulb projector, those are gonna last around 4,000 hours, and then you're gonna need to replace that bulb when it burns out. What I didn't know until looking into this is that over the course of that 4,000 hours, that bulb is going to dim along the way. So as you're maybe at 2,000 hours, your picture is not gonna look as good, and you probably won't notice because it's a slow change, right? Over the time period that you're running that projector, your picture quality is going to get worse and worse. With a laser projector like this one, this thing has a 20,000 hour lifespan. So we're going from 4,000 to 20,000. Image quality is going to stay much better throughout the life of this thing. It's gonna, and obviously gonna last a lot longer without having to replace a bulb. The other benefit of a laser projector is it turns right on. There is no kind of warm up time or anything, so that's nice as well. Now, what about colors and the vividness and all of those things? Well, this projector comes out of the box with golf mode, which is kind of the color mode specifically created for golf simulator colors. So what does that mean? Well, with golf courses, there's a variety of different kind of colors and textures. Obviously a lot of grass, trees, blue sky, but you can also have sand if you're in a desert course, or water if you're by the ocean. And so a lot of organic colors. And BenQ, it kind of blew my mind. BenQ has actually been consulting with course designers, GCQuad course designers, that we probably all know, to try and develop this color mode that they call golf mode as well as they possibly can. I did notice right off the bat, whenever I changed out my old one to this one, a much more vivid, richer green. Obviously, because green is the most common color that I'm gonna see, that's what I noticed right off the bat. It is a very nice feature. Now, I know I'm gonna get asked about this, and it's a question I have too. So why 1080p and not 4K? Well, I don't know. I would like to see this exact same projector in 4K or as a 4K option as well. But obviously 1080p is going to be a lot more within reach budget-wise for most people. Whether to go 1080p or 4K is highly debated. You're going to get a lot of different answers. Personally, I have no experience with 4K projectors in a golf simulator, so I can't answer that question. But I can tell you what I've seen is that a lot of people, or at least I have seen people, switch from a 4K projector with lower lumens to a 1080p projector with higher lumens because they realize that the brighter picture provides a better image even though the resolution is lower. So I have heard of that. I have heard people say that 4K is absolutely worth it. I've heard people say that it's really not worth it. I've heard people say that no one has ever complained about picture quality on 1080p. I think that's probably true. I would like to see that option of like maybe this exact projector in 4K. Obviously it's gonna cost substantially more, but that is something that I would like to see. So that pretty much covers all of the awesome features that BenQ has packed into this golf simulator projector. I definitely want to thank BenQ for allowing me to test this thing out. It's just really awesome to see a company like BenQ putting so much effort into this small little segment of the market for golf simulators. For people like us, we have a really specific use for these projectors, and so it's just awesome to see. I think that this particular model is going to take a lot of the complexity and stress about setting up the projector out of the equation and help people pull the trigger on setting up a simulator in their home a lot quicker. That's exciting to see. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Always love to hear from you, and see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.